Hi, my name is Ryan Fenwick, and today I will be talking about the Industrial Revolution and why it is a pioneer of modern consumerism. The Industrial Revolution and modern consumerism. What is it? The Industrial Revolution was a worldwide movement that led to the economic restructuring of the governments of the world. This era marked a turning point in the way the world operated. Consumerism is an idea that increasing the consumption of goods and services purchased in this market is always a desirable goal. This results in a reliance to the system to keep it going. So what else was going on at this time? At the start of the Industrial Revolution, the world was coming out of the colonialism and entering in the age of imperialism. Europe controlled most of the world at this point, so they had an abundance of resources flowing in from the colonies, which allowed them to greatly produce consumer goods. And with those consumer goods, they could sell them back to the colonies, thus furthering consumerism. And this also was due to the transformation of production. Industrial work at this time was changing from a more cottage industry, which involved most goods to be produced in people's homes and were often expensive as they were mostly handmade, to streamlined procedures that led to affordable products as they were mass-produced and available for all the people. Factories began to implement new technologies into their factories, which led to less labor and fast production of goods. Urbanization in the workforce. At this time, the average person was moving from a more rural or countryside living to a more urban and city living. With all these new people moving into the cities, the factory workforce grew exponentially. The transportation revolution. Another large part of the Industrial Revolution and consumerism was the emergence of modern transportation. With the invention of the steam engine came things like the steamboat, trains, and eventually cars. Steamboats started to replace sailboats and greatly increase the speed of transportation and reduce the cost of transporting cargo shipments. The railroad system also started to grow and increase the speed of transportation even more. As at this time period, you had the Transcontinental Railroad, which opened up trading all across the United States, thus furthering consumerism. Expanding markets and a modern middle class. The Industrial Revolution opened a multitude of new markets to the public that were previously restricted due to income inequality. This is due to, at the time period, you were either very rich or very poor. But at the start of the Industrial Revolution, and with the emergence of a modern middle class, the wage gap started to shrink, which meant that more people could start affording more commodities, and some of those were better housing, education, and consumer goods. The role of advertising. Marketing and advertising were becoming more prevalent at this time. The increase of advertising also led to an increase of consumerism by creating a culture around the product and marketing them as a status item. And this caused consumerism to take hold. Consumerism grew due to all the new technologies and the economic growth of the 1920s, also referred to as the Roaring Twenties, as this is shortly following the United States coming out of World War I, and resulted in stock market up and a general economic boom across the country. Another aspect that led to the rise of consumerism was the emergence of a new middle class brought about by socialist ideals. The value shifted from buying necessity to upholding an image among peers. The golden age of consumerism. Starting in the 1950s, goods became much cheaper so people could afford things. Advertising became more prevalent, which led to a greater importance of the brand of the product instead of practicality, forming even tighter the products representing status. So in conclusion, the Industrial Revolution had a pivotal role with the growth of consumerism. The advances in technology, transportation, and culture led to an increase in consumerism that we can still see to this day. Thank you.